Hey, I want to chat for just a second about how our little church in the country reached 45,905 people in the last 28 days on YouTube. And it's kind of a new thing for me. I pastor a little church in the country. I live in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and drive 45 minutes out of the country. I like to say it's 45 minutes from the closest stoplight. And we have about 25 farmers. They're not all farmers, but anyway, there's 25 people out in the middle of farm. And I've had a YouTube channel for years and years and years, and pretty much just did a video that I threw onto YouTube and hope for the rest. And many times I'd get about 25 views a week, and I felt pretty good about that because that's about how many people that I preach to on Sunday morning. And so I thought, well, on YouTube I'm doubling that number. But in December, that's January as I record this, but in December, I thought, I'm going to get serious about this and see if I can do something about it. And you can see the last 6 months ago, it was about 1,000 views each month across the channel. That number I gave you just a minute ago was just the newest. That's per video, but this is all the videos together. And if you went back in time, it'd be about this for years and years and years. And then in December, I decided to get with it, and I've gone onto YouTube and watched a bunch of videos, and you can see it's a pretty dramatic difference, about 20,000 views in December, up from about 1,000 or less than 1,000, maybe closer to 900. And it's the 22nd or so of January now. And you can see that trend is continuing. And about the time I started working on this, I preached a sermon that included this verse right here. So Paul, he's in Athens here, he reasoned in the synagogue with both Jews and God-fearing Greeks, as well as in the marketplace day by day with those who happened to be there. And as I meditated on that verse, I got to thinking that location matters. He went first to the synagogue because that's where the Jews and the God-fearing people and the people who might be interested in talking about religion, that's where they would be. And so he went first to that particular place. But then apparently he realized that he wasn't going to get to the secular minded people if he stayed in the synagogue. So he went out in the marketplace, and he went to both the synagogue and the marketplace. And it occurred to me as I meditated on that, it is probably far more likely that someone who is far from God is going to listen to a YouTube video or watch a YouTube video. It's far more likely they're going to click on a YouTube video than it is that they would ever come to my church. Location matters. This verse teaches us that location matters. And it was an inspiration to me. And I believe every church ought to work on getting the gospel to as many people as possible by any means possible. And one means that is available to us today is through YouTube. And I may have watched 100 videos on how to grow a YouTube channel. And I want to show you 7 insights that will guide me going forward. And the first one has to do with titles. You listen to, watch any YouTube video on how to grow your YouTube channel, and they nearly always emphasize the idea of titles. And the idea is to make content that people want to watch. In other words, I'm a writer in another world. I listened to a book on writing a few months back, and one of the things that writer said about writing is, if you want to write a book that lots of people will read, then write a book on a subject that people want to read about. In other words, writers, I can tell you, we writers, we have this burning in our heart that we want to get this message out to the world. And this writer was saying that's all well and good if that's what you want to do, but if you want to sell lots of books, then you need to ask a different question, and not as what is this burning idea inside of me, but what are people curious about? What are they Googling? What are they burdened by? What are they interested in? And if I start with that, if I start with what they are interested in and create a title, maybe that is something they're looking for, or maybe that will catch their eye if they do see it. But that title itself is going to help draw people into that. Second thing I've learned, and I'm still working on this, and that is the importance of thumbnails. Again, my early ones, I just let YouTube just get a slice of the video, and that was the thumbnail. You're far better off putting some clear words on there, probably your picture, most people say, but give careful attention to those thumbnails. Third thing I've learned, and I want to tell you, this was a little bit depressing, and that is you can look on YouTube and you can see how many people start watching your YouTube video and how many people finish watching your YouTube video. And in my case, best I can tell, almost everybody's case, it drops off pretty dramatically in the first 30 seconds. And it got me wondering, if our people could check out, and truth be told, mentally, they probably do check out when they listen to me preach on Sunday morning. But the big idea here is try to be interesting. Truth be told, there's no real trick to YouTube. If you want to grow a YouTube channel, you just got to be interesting. You just got to say things that people want to hear. Now, as a preacher, I'm going to say biblical things that people want to hear, but I'm going to do all I can to make the gospel attractive, as we'll see in just a moment. Fourth observation has to do with production quality, and I see a lot of church YouTube videos, and some of them we just slap a camera out, and it's real widescreen, and we can't do Hollywood quality, but we can do as best we can. Now, I'm at a bit of advantage here because I'm a wedding photographer in another life, and so I got a pretty good camera and a pretty good lens. Truth be told, the lighting and the sound make more difference than the camera and the lens. And without getting to the weeds on that, I just want to say we want to try to produce as good a quality as we can and try to get it better and better. Fifth thing is simply to keep learning. I've committed to continuing to watch a bunch of videos. YouTube is always evolving, and I want to always be learning. And out of that is the sixth principle, and that is to keep learning and then keep improving, keep applying what we learn. And the last one is to realize that I am speaking to two audiences. I'm speaking primarily, I think most of my listeners are a Christian audience. But the great thing about YouTube is it allows me to speak to a secular audience if there's someone who happens to stumble into the room. Paul said he went to the marketplace to those who happened to be there. Paul said in another place, he said, not to steal from them, but show that they can be fully trusted, so that in every way, through their honesty, they can make the teaching about God our Savior attractive. And I would say not only through their honesty, but we through our teaching ought to do all we can to make the teaching about God our Savior attractive. The Living Bible paraphrases Proverbs 15:2 by saying a wise teacher makes learning a joy. And that's what I want to try to do, to make learning a joy. I was convicted by this quote. I put this in another video recently. But anyway, Jesus' teaching consistently attracted the irreligious while offending the Bible believing religious people of his day. And that's what I want to do on my YouTube channel. I don't know if I necessarily want to offend any Bible believing people, but I want to attract the irreligious as well as the religious. However, in the main, our churches today do not have this effect. The kind of outsiders that Jesus attracted are not attracted to contemporary churches, even what we might call seeker sensitive or seeker driven churches. We tend to draw conservative, button down, moralistic people, and I want to go beyond that as Jesus went beyond that. The licentious and the liberated or the broken or the marginalized, well, they tend to avoid church, and I want to make a YouTube channel that will make it interesting to that crowd as well. This can only mean one thing. Here's a convicting word right here. If the preaching of our ministers, if the message of our YouTube channel, and the practice of our parishioners, if they do not have the same effect on people that Jesus had on people, then we must not be declaring the same message that Jesus did. If our churches aren't appealing to younger brothers, they must be full of elder brothers more often than we'd like to think. Well, those are my thoughts. I'm really a small group leader at heart and love to get your feedback. What are your thoughts? What are you doing with YouTube? What's working for you? What is your vision for getting the gospel message out through this means?